Hello, everyone. I hope this finds everyone safe and healthy. Welcome to BBN Live, sponsored by ECoach. I'm Marty Smith, a reporter and host for ESPN, and it is a great pleasure for me to have this moment with you guys. And not only with you guys, but we have a couple guests today who just happen to have national championship rings. Head basketball coach John Calipari and head rifle coach Harry Mullins. Gentlemen, it is the pleasure of my life, trust me, to get to spend this time with you guys during COVID. How's everybody doing? How you guys holding up?
What you doing, Coach Harry?
I'm doing good.
What you doing, Coach Harry?
We're doing about as good as we can be. I mean, with everything going on, trying to keep our sanity and staying busy, but doing really well. Doing really well.
Coach Cal, how about you?
We're fine. You're staying in, you're washing hands, social distance. We take the dogs for a walk and we make sure we're away. If I'm somewhere and they say, "Can I take a picture?" I'll say it's 6 feet. So we're doing that. Went to the grocery store yesterday. Went to Kroger with Ellen. Never do it again. I'll go myself. She can go herself. Coach, she stopped in aisle 8, was reading boxes, reading stuff. Just grab what you want. Do you have to read? I have an idea what's in it. It's either good for me or bad. I'm taking it either way. Let's go. So I had to call her on the phone. Where are you? I was in the ice cream aisle. I wanted to get some ice cream. You can't hold ice cream. It's too cold. Come on, where are you? So that's what we did yesterday. And she said, "You'll never come back with me." I said, "Oh, you don't have to worry about that. I'll be myself next time."
I've been on an infinite quest for ramen noodles, man. I got a 16-year-old that lives on ramen noodles, and I could bring it home for him, and he won't look at them. But he's like, "Where's ramen noodles?" And there are none in this country. None, anywhere.
Toilet paper, paper towels, hand sanitizers, this. I just put water on this. I've had the same one for a week. I guess you can put water on it and it goes again. I don't know. I'm like, that's what I've been doing. You can't, it's crazy. I'm ordering food out all the time, trying to, do things for the community and, that kind of stuff. But I go pick it up, Harry, because I just got to get out of this house. You don't have to deliver it. I'll come and get it. And I'm spraying the guy, where do I put this? In the back seat, babe. Just open, his window's open, lay it in there. See you later.
No, I sat there. I drive around the block at least 3 or 4 times a day. With gas prices being the way they are, I mean, I'll run a tank dry just by myself, just to feel good about it.
Harry, I was at 3/4 of a tank. It was at 143. I went and filled up. I said, "Are you kidding me? I got to if the gas is 143, I'm putting it in the tank." Yep. I'm driving around town, 143. What? I haven't seen 143 since I was in high school.
I drove around with my daughter, who's special needs. She loves to listen to music and drive, and we'll go for a walk, and sometimes we'll drive around New Circle Road and just make one big loop, just to get her out and about. And I'm like, maybe we could drive all day long. Now we'll turn New Circle Road into Daytona 500.
No one.
Now you're speaking my language.
I got the two. When I go, the 2 dogs chase me because they just want to get out of the house and go for a ride. So I'm doing the same. This stuff, Marty, as I look at this, I would hope, because this could be depending on your family situation or not, just being in and being locked down and not knowing the anxiety of this. We're all praying for a vaccine, because if we hit a vaccine, this stuff goes away pretty quickly. If we don't, we're going to be where we are. And I think America has done unbelievable trying, not everybody, but I'm going to guess 95% of the people are listening to the experts tell us what they want to do and what they want. And people are doing it, which is why the curve seems to be going down.
I wondered from both of you, I wanted to ask you both this. This is an unprecedented moment in the history of man. And both of you had to tell national championship caliber teams that they weren't going to have the opportunity to follow through with that dream. Coach Mullins, I'll start with you. What was it like for you to have to deliver that message to your team?
That's very tough to put into words. We kind of sensed it. Cal was already on the road at the SEC championship at the tournament. So we were following that. And as games started to be called in different conferences, we tried to prep them a little bit for the potential of that happening. But when the actual call came, I guess about 4:30 that afternoon, and we had to have a meeting, there was a lot of emotion that was involved, just from trying to get closure to what we've been trying to do all season long. But the good part from my group is we look at the body of work that we put in. And so, we just really tried to convey to them that, in our sports, sometimes you can have the best team all year and then things just not turn out the way you want them to during that tournament time frame. That doesn't mean you're not a champion. It's the effort that you put in all year, and the drive and the desire that you had and the competitiveness. And so we really focused on getting them excited about them doing that, being undefeated throughout the regular season, winning the conference championship, and then winning the conference tournament. I told them, yes, did we not get to close this out the way we wanted to? It was very unfortunate, but we had a great body of work that we could be proud of. And we're in a very fortunate situation that we have a lot of freshmen and sophomores in the lineup that will be back next year. And so, we kind of embraced the beginning of the season of this is going to be hard. And one of my guys said, well, Coach, you didn't say that it was going to be 2 years worth of hard, that we've got to go through an entire another season to do this. But we'll try to get it done next year. We were fortunate we had 2 on the Olympic team. So we had some positive things moving forward from that. Obviously, knowing what we know now, with the Olympics being canceled, that would have probably had a little bit different, not canceled, but postponed, would have had a little bit more of an impact. But we had a lot of good things going at the time. The emotions were definitely high, though. You could see the disappointment.
Coach, tell them where your team was when your team was in the NCAA tournament.
Oh yeah, yeah, we were.
I mean, this wasn't like
we were
us.
hours away from winning.
Yeah, we were 12 hours away from the start. Had we known what, and I think all the coaches would have been in agreement.
I got dogs in here, guys.
The potential for it to be canceled, we would have probably given up the practice day and did the whole thing on that day. Now, obviously, that's hindsight. You got plenty of armchair quarterbacks, and no. I mean, when I went into the lobby, not just from my team, but from seeing the seniors, in the lobby of the host hotel, the tears and the emotions that kind of poured out from everybody, from all the athletes. I mean, a couple of them kind of nudged me in the ribs, like, Coach, come on, you've got the keys. So let's just sneak in here at midnight and let's just do this. We don't care about the trophies. We just got to figure out who's going to win the show, just from the team's sake. There was a lot of emotion, but I think knowing what we know now, it was definitely the right call to be able, to have to do that.
Coach Cal, what was your message to your guys?
Well, we weren't in the same boat where it's like open the gym and let's go and let's see who wins this national title. Our tournament, which, the fans that know me here know I'm not big on conference tournaments because they have no bearing other than maybe seeding a little bit, and it's really not affected our seeding either. So when they canceled that tournament, I told the guys, look, this is canceled. The most important one is next. Let's hope and pray they don't cancel that one. But they might. Got on the bus, went to the hotel, grabbed a quick lunch, got back on the bus. We're in Nashville, 3 hours away from Lexington. Halfway there, we find out, and it's on my phone, which I know then that they know. It's on their phones. And I just went to the front of the bus, and, it's disappointing because you want your team, just like Coach Mullins wants his team to feel winning a national title, being the best out there across this country. And in basketball, having them feel an NCAA Final Four, I thought we had a terrific team that had a good vibe going. Most important thing is that the vibe that we things that happened at the end of the year. We won our league by a couple games in a really tough league. But at the end, I told the story when Ashton stepped away that last game and we win down 18, and Johnny and Keon and Nate and Emmanuel didn't play the last 9 minutes, and we come back and win anyway. The way Nick played down the stretch, EJ's tip-in basket to win, it was like, all right, now when we get back to campus, how is this going to work? So our first practice, after warm-ups, I split up the team, and I just said, okay, give me, you guys split up. And I turned my back and walked to the table where I have my practice plan. And because I want to see what they'll do with Ashton. Ashton put his stuff on the second unit, and the players said, no, you put your stuff on that first group. And I heard it, but I wanted them to make that decision. We had an unbelievable practice, unbelievable run up to our tournament, a great vibe. And I've done this enough that you know what that vibe feels like. And so, not being able to say, all right, let's throw it down now. Let's see who's who now. We were playing our best basketball. We had a full roster of guys all playing well. And you got to get up to the bus and say, guys, fate just intervened and you're going to have a life. Sometimes fate intervenes in your life and it's unbelievably good and you had nothing to do with it. Sometimes fate intervenes in your life and you had nothing to do with it and it's unbelievably bad. This is one of those experiences. When we get back, we'll talk. If they're suspending at the time, I wasn't sure. Maybe they'll suspend. They're calling it off right now. And then ended up having individual meetings with each of the guys. But it was hard. I mean, it's hard now. Dealing at a distance. We've had a couple Zoom calls. I've had Zoom calls with the incoming freshmen who've all signed. Just trying to stay connected, texting, calling, things for all of us. Athletics will change. I'll give you, one thing. Probably shouldn't shake hands after a match anymore, after a game. Wave, good job. Don't need to shake hands. Before the game, in the NCAA tournament, the national anthem, play it right before tip-off. Not 12 minutes where we go out and shake hands and touch and talk and spit and cough. Right before tip-off. The game ends, you point. See you after. Call the guy on the phone. These kids stay in touch anyway. You don't need to do it. It's what we've always done. It's not done anymore. Let's stop. It's just one thing that should change and probably will change.
I wonder very openly whether it'll ever be the same. If it'll ever be what we've all known our entire lives in terms of those traditions or those customs that you're talking about, Coach Calipari. Already, Coach Mullins, how have you seen this impact the way that you do your job?
Kind of like what Cal said, doing it remotely, that's tough. Yeah, I'm an old school guy. I love to see you in front of me face to face. We're in the same room. That vibe that Cal's talking about, I love to feel that when we're in conversation and when we're doing things. So working with the individuals, it's hard to get a read on them. And try to learn the new technology, so to speak, to be able to utilize everything to the best of its ability so that they can become better. We're a very technology sport driven, but it's still to the point of that hands-on contact, that being able to convey your emotions and doing things and doing that, through Zoom or whatever else it is, it becomes very tough. I mean, I think that's been a foundation of our program, is that personal relationship, being able to sit and communicate and having that conversation, whether it's 5 minutes after a practice or coming into my office. And, with the distancing going on right now, uh, yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough, but, like what you were saying is with all this change, the cool part about it is these guys are very young and resilient. So they'll come up with new things, the elbow bump or something along those lines. Uh, it's you know, the only constant in athletics is change. This is a pretty big change. And so we're going to have to kind of embrace it and keep moving forward and try to find new ways to be able to interact with each other. I mean, we're fortunate that unlike Cal, where the players are, bumping it up and all over each other, we're separated. I mean, we do our own thing. So from the competitive side of stuff, everybody's kind of on their firing point and they compete and then they come off. But just they embrace it. And that's what we've done for the last 10, 15 years, is to really embrace the team, spend more time together. And now this environment kind of causes us to, I don't want to say separate, but move further apart whenever opportunity arises. So it's going to be a challenging next few months to try to figure out how to get that team concept back together, but then at the same time be able to keep their distance and to be safe at the same time.
You both discussed the vibe, and I was very blessed this year that I had the opportunity to be around Coach Calipari's team a lot, and I got to see that vibe and feel that vibe in some of those shoot-arounds. And I just want to broach one thing that Coach has coming up, that being coffee with Cal. And he noted that he has that table that has his notes for that practice on that table. There's also his every single day, the man has a Dunkin' Donuts coffee cup on that table. Let me tell y'all about this coffee cup. All right, here's the choreography. He yells at somebody, he blows a whistle, he walks over to the table, he messes with the tab on the Dunkin' Donuts coffee cup. He spins the Dunkin' Donuts coffee cup around. He opens the tab. He closes the tab. He looks at his notes. He turns, tells the team to do something. Then he turns, looks at the notes, spins the cup. I mean, this coffee cup is an integral part of your coaching moment in practice. So coffee with Cal is like the perfect title for what you hope to accomplish coming up here.
But it may be, again, we're doing this. It's one way to raise money for coronavirus nationally in food banks, and we're doing it. And so it may be coffee, Starbucks coffee with Coach Cal. It all depends on who's the sponsor. And but this stuff and what we're doing, and you're right about the coffee. My wife calls it my blanket. Like I never really drink a full cup. Is anybody out there like me? You'll get a medium or a large coffee and then you throw it away because it gets cold. I mean, it's just, and then by the end of the day, I probably drink a full cup of coffee, but I throw out probably 2 cups of coffee. But, Harry, what you're saying about what will change, and I know there are people that are probably thinking that we're not going to go to restaurants. We're going to have everything delivered. We're going to watch Netflix the rest of our lives and never go to a movie theater. We're never going to go to a mall. We're just going to have Amazon Prime and have everything delivered. I beg to differ. I think there's going to be changes in the restaurant business, changes in the mall business or theaters, and there'll be changes. But how do we interact as human beings? Because at the end of the day, do you remember when DVDs came out and they had the stores and everybody said, uh-oh, the movie theaters are done. No one will ever go to a movie theater. And guess what? They went to a movie theater. I mean, we need interaction. I'm even telling my guys, I wonder what the next wave of things would be to make sure we're together, that we're safe, where you interact. I want to invest in that because that's going to be there. Because we have to. We need the contact. I'll give you this. Have you ever texted somebody and you felt it was a really good text, and then you sent it, and then you read the text, and you go, he could take that wrong. So then you go back and write another text to make sure they know what you said, or an email, nice, beautiful email, and you don't hear from the guy for a day. Why didn't the guy respond? You go back and read the email, and you go, holy cow, I know why he didn't respond. If I read this, I would think I was saying this, that, and the other, and you change it. And I know we have Zoom, and I've done it. I got one guy looking at a TV. I have another guy looking down at his, I mean, it's not the same as the interaction that we have to have. Forget about coaches. I'm talking all of us. Harry, you're talking about going around, driving around the community, and I bet you're just waiting to see somebody so you can wave to them. Hey, I mean, it's what we do. So here's what I would say to everybody listening. Each day that goes by, when you wake up in the morning or when you go to bed, you're saying to yourself, we're one day closer. Not, geez, we got another day. How many more days? I got to have 25 more days of this. And because if we get a vaccine, it'll end in a week. We don't know. I mean, could be it. But it's got to be we're one day closer to fixing this. Every day you go to bed, we're one day closer. When I wake up, it's one day closer to fixing this and getting back to normal. This will pass. I like the fact that Dr. Fauci, who's going to be on the Coffee with Cal, where he said, I think kids will go back to schools in the fall. But let me say, he said, I hope if we're on a path that everybody stays the course and we do this right. But Harry, you know this, and Marty, there are kids in our public schools, private schools, it doesn't matter, that are the young kids, the high school kids, the structure they get in their day and the safety net they have by going to school. Some of them are in the lunch program. That's where they eat. That has been taken away from all those kids. And in higher education, it's no different. There are kids on a Pell Grant, and they're on a Pell Grant for a reason. Their family's income. And they come to college, and it is their way and their structure, and it's the pillar in their life that when you take that away, and now they're in a situation where same thing, they're in a family, you have to figure out how to eat, how to stay safe. Your family's worrying about rent and this, and now you become the adult that's trying to do stuff versus the student that's trying to figure out who you are. So this stuff has messed us up on a lot of levels. And I just come back to, we got to stay the course so we get kids back in school. I'm not thinking about sports. I'm talking these grade school kids that need that structure. Let's get back. But we can't do it unless the CDC says it's safe to do it.
Both of you are national championship coaches, and I wonder, Coach Mullins, I'll ask you first. What does reaching the top of the mountain teach you about yourself?
Oh, wow. You got great kids. And Cal will probably agree with me on this, is, every year you come up with a plan, with the group that you have, the group that you think you have, a forecast. And when you're fortunate enough at the end that the plan was successful, it gives you a feeling of accomplishment that, yes, and sometimes it's, hey, I know what I'm doing or I don't know what I'm doing, but more so, it gives you that sense of, yes, you did it the right way. And to see a group come together from the start of the season to the end of the season, watching them grow, watching them make the sacrifices, and Cal's seen it many times. I've got to see it a few times of, having kids from all different walks of life coming together, making sacrifices to be one team, one unit, thinking the way that you feel they need to think, acting the way that you feel they need to act. And for some, that's a tremendous sacrifice. and then getting them to see the reward at the end. To me, it gives me great pride to see it in the kids, and then for the kids to get that recognition for their sacrifice, that they get the reward of a national championship. It's kind of like the old MasterCard commercial. It's priceless. Each one is different. The emotions definitely overcome, at the end of it all at the tournament. But more so when you sit back in 2018, there was a song, Meet Me in the Middle. I don't even remember who sings it. And I was joking around beginning of the season with one of the kids going, you need to tell your bullets to meet you in the middle because that's where we get the most points. And it wasn't until after the team had gone home for spring break and I was driving back from the range after dropping the trophies off in Memorial Coliseum that song came on and the emotions kind of hit me. It's like, wow, the plan worked. Everything worked. They got what they deserved, a national championship, for making the sacrifices that they have. But we've also been on the short end of the stick, where we finished second many times, but had a great body of work. And I still look at those teams as champions as well. So it's really about the work that they put in and winning at the end to get them the reward that they deserve. I don't know. Does that sound good, Cal?
Yeah,
I think that sounds phenomenal.
Let me tell you, people don't realize how good a coach Harry Mullins is and what he's been able to do, and where he's built a program from nothing and has people actively involved, and they're involved for him as the coach he is and how he coaches young people, but they're also involved for the student athletes and wanting them to, hey man, we care about this program here. And it's one of the great things, and I got to give it to Mitch. Whether people would say football and men's basketball, right, Harry? Oh, that's it. But he looks after the women. He's looking after you. I mean, he built a soccer stadium. He built a baseball stadium. You got a softball stadium. I mean, they tell me the baseball stadium stuff's better than mine, which kind of makes me mad, to be honest with you, Harry, when I hear that. But I mean, we have terrific coaches, and Harry's one of them that, we within the athletic department know. Like there's times I'll be walking with my head down and I'll hear his voice and Harry, where are you? I heard, I'm trying to get down to the practice and not be bothered before I run down there. But the job he does, and it's not, for me, your coaching can't be a 1-year shot. Like, okay, he did good for this 1 or 2 years or one team. He did good with one team and he rode it for 3 or 4, and then he gets another job. And then, no, I want to know, all right, as everything changes, you get new groups. I'd like to know how you coach young kids. How about this one? How do you coach veterans, juniors and seniors, when, they're heard your voice so much they really don't want to hear your voice anymore? He's done all of that.
You care to respond, Coach Mullins?
Well, and Cal said it best, the support that we get. I mean, Mitch, my evaluation when Mark Coyle was my liaison, who's the athletic director at Minnesota, he told me, he goes, the good thing about Mitch is he loves rifle. And I said, I know, that's great. He goes, the bad thing about Mitch is? He goes, what? He goes, he loves rifle. So do you understand what I'm talking about? But Mitch travels with us. I don't see a lot of Division I ADs traveling with the rifle teams. He's gone with us to New York. He gives us tremendous support. And I think that builds pride in the kids of that they're doing it for the name on the front and back of the jerseys, which says Kentucky. And the pride factor in that, we have a very prideful group. They're from all over the country. In fact, out of the 11, we only have one from Kentucky. But the pride factor that Mitch has helped us build in the kids is, to give you an example, Mary Tucker, one of the girls that's going to the Olympics, she was walking down the hallway the day before we canceled the championships, and she was smiling, and we were just kind of, joking a little bit. She goes, Coach, do you ever think we'd shoot guns in Memorial Coliseum? But you could see the excitement and just the enthusiasm in that, hey, we're getting to shoot our national championships in our home in Memorial Coliseum. And that pride factor, we tried to, I don't want to say capitalize because it almost sounds negative, but really to bring that to the forefront and utilize that for them to make them stronger individuals. And I think that's been the funnest part about this job, is to see them grow. And I can never retire, because then I'll actually have to act as old as I really am. And I can't do that.
I carry some quotes around from some coaches that I've had the blessing of interviewing, and I love this one from Coach Calipari, and I want you to follow up on this for me. I love this quote. Play to your training. If you try to play to the hype, you might last 15 minutes. If you try to play to your opponent, you might last 15 minutes. But if you play to your training, you can go 40 minutes and be great for entire games. I carry that quote with me on my phone every day because I consider it to be applicable to my life. And I wonder, what is the challenge of getting these young men to actually do that, Coach Cal?
You know, in all my years of coaching, the funnest time for me is in practice, where they're competing and we walk off the court and we know we just had a great day. I'll tell you, I've had teams, and last year's team was one of them. We didn't have a bad practice last year. We had some that were better, some were unbelievable, but none of them were like, that is an awful practice. Not one. So those are the seasons that you feel at the end there's a vibe. There are some that you're looking at like, boy, I hope we can hold on. And it's based on what you see in practice. Because again, trying to, like, they'll do something in a game, and have we ever practiced that? Did you just invent that? That's not, I've never seen us work on that one time. Why would you do that now? And again, trying to get them to say, fall back on your training. It eliminates the anxiousness. Fall back on your training. You know what we've done. We do a 5-minute shooting drill where guys will make 50 to 60, even 70 shots in 5 minutes, and then go in a game and miss 4 straight. I'm like, how can that happen? Fall back on your training. Think you're in the 5-minute drill. You know, I think it's kind of a golfer on the driving range smashes the ball and then gets on the tee box, not the same. Well, act like you're on the driving range. Just have your mindset, I'm on the driving range. Boom, hit it. I don't know. I think, again, when you're dealing with 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds, young people, you're also trying to teach them how they have to think, staying in the moment. What happened has no effect on what's going to happen unless you let it. We're going through that time now. Worried about what's going to happen a month from now. Well, what does that do? You don't know. And I tell my guys the way I say it, you don't know if you're going to win or lose until you win or lose. Don't know. So why are you worried about it now? Why are you getting too hyped up about winning or too down about losing? Stay right now. Stay in the moment. For all of us now, we were talking about, you better have a nice regiment to your day. Like, have some structure to what you do when you wake up. Are you working out? Are you walking? Or what are you doing physically? Are you reading? Are you spending time for you? Are you spending time with your family? Okay, here's another one. Creating joy. How do I do that? Create joy for yourself by helping somebody else, somebody in your community. Doing something out of the blue for some. I'll give you an example. You go to a restaurant all the time and there's a certain server that has waited on you a ton. Call the restaurant, ask for their name, their address, and send them a check, because they're out of work right now. And they get like, what? You'll get a card back, and it'll bring more joy to you than the joy you had of writing the check, because you'll look and say, wow, I made their day. The same with, there's some elderly in your community. I would say the same thing. How do you help them? Leave groceries on their door. Are there things you can get involved with within our community? You may be struggling, and I say, and being Catholic, the most powerful prayers are that of a suffering man. So we're all in this scrambling to make sense of stuff. Some of us suffering way more than others. I've been blessed. I mean, anything I do, I can do way more. I don't try to take credit. If I do something publicly, it's to get other people involved. But if you reach out, how about this? Your high school coach, a teacher, someone from your community, an aunt or uncle who haven't heard from you, call, get on the phone. You can do that. Get on the phone in your community. Is there something you can do for the schools? Is there something you can do in the town? Is there some way that you can help, even though you're keeping yourself safe? I mean, those are some thoughts that, I would throw out. And as I do this Monday morning at 10, Coffee with Cal, I want it to be uplifting. I'm seeing the TV, the people that I'm bringing on, the former president, Mark Cuban, Dr. Fauci, bringing on Kelly Craft, the UN ambassador, Dick Vitale, anybody that I think can add to what's going on and uplift us to understand we will get through this. And every day that goes by is one day we're closer. And we must continue to listen, as hard as this is, to what the science is telling us, which is stay away, give the scientists time to come up with a vaccine. That's all we're doing. We're trying to ramp this thing down and give them time to do that, and hopefully get more tests so we can all be tested and we can move on to the next part. And last thing, and Harry, you may agree or disagree, but I think, like in our profession, everything that might have happened 10 years from now is going to now happen faster. Instead of 10 years, it'll happen now. Give you an example. Football and basketball, and women's basketball are not going to recruit this summer, from what I can see. Well, it's going to save a lot of money for athletics. The college presidents are going to look and say, do we really need to spend all this money recruiting in the summer when we can go in the fall and the spring and then throughout the school year? And why don't we save this money? Why do we do this? Well, that was going to eventually happen. It's going to happen faster now. I think, again, how we do things, I worry about malls. Like, what happens with malls? What's the next step for malls? What's the future hold? Well, whatever was going to happen in 10 years is probably going to happen in the next 2 now. And I think in all that we do, education, don't tell me you can do everything online. These young people need the interaction. They need to be with other students, learning as much socially and the interaction, and in the company of experts and mentors and professors. So don't tell me all of it will be online. I'm saying some of it can be. And there's some families that may work. I'm 27, I got 2 kids, and I can do it from, okay. But, I think, again, it's going to push what we do 10 years ahead in the next 2. But I hope, let me just leave 2 thoughts, Harry, if you don't mind. One, we were starting to become tribal. It's all tribalism. I win, you lose. If you get something accomplished, I'm mad. If this guy gets elected, I want to go crazy. It was becoming so tribal that we were like splitting. I think this has us becoming more about community. Like, I'll give you an example. I don't care whose fault, what they did early, who did what early, blame this. I don't really care. All I want to know is going forward, how are we solving this? I'm not worried about left, right, center, blue, gold, red. I don't care. And when I hear somebody either getting after the president or getting after the speaker, I turn it down. I don't want to hear it. Are you ready to tell me what we're going to do? Second thing, I heard this. Somebody got off a ventilator and made it. And he said, my life is going to be different here going forward. I would tell all of us, what if it happened to you and you were on a ventilator and they said you got your last rites and you're not, and all of a sudden you pulled through and made it? What kind of different person would that make you? Well, why don't we roll with that? You know how they say, what do you want in your obituary? Well, write it and then live to it. That kind of maybe comes out of this a little bit. Maybe we come together as a nation, as a people, and forget about all this tribalism stuff and don't accept it. And then look at it and say, you know what? What if it were me and I was about to go down and I was given more time on this earth? How would I want to live it now? So I think there's some things that are going to come out of this that I see like, okay, and I'm having time. And you know, Harry and Marty, when I have time to think, it's trouble for everybody because the ideas, and my wife tells me I'm the idea man, but everybody else has to follow through on your ideas. But, you know, you'll come up with great stuff. But, you know, having some time to think about this stuff has been good.
I think,
Well, I
you know,
agree.
and, no, and Cal, you're spot on. I mean, when you look at, you know, the success of teams, of when you're happy for, you know, and you've preached that forever. You could be happy for each other, you know, happy for your players, you know, be happy when your teammate did something. Okay, you didn't get the minutes, but be happy. You didn't make the Olympic team, but be happy for the guy that did. And if we take that to a different level of society, you know, I've gotten an opportunity to work in my driveway a little bit. Got a little wood shop going on, building Adirondack chairs for a little bit of therapy throughout the afternoon. And you know, we have a lot of younger people with kids that are going for walks. And it's really neat to see them and find out how many people live in the neighborhood. I mean, we're keeping our distance, you know, 20, 30 feet, you know, from the edge of the driveway, but having more conversations just about what's going on in life rather than, oh, I picked this side, you picked that side, and we're constantly at each other. No, I agree with you totally. I mean, being able to
Can't
sit
talk
there and kind of,
politics.
what's that?
Talk, Harry, you talk politics in this state. It's like,
Oh, no, no,
it's
no,
just
you can't.
stop. I don't care about politics. I just
Exactly.
want to know, and it's no one's fault. This came at us, and yeah, we could have done things different. Guess what? In 3 years, let's evaluate it. What we could
Yep.
have done different, so next time will be better. Right now is not the time. We need a vaccine and we need more tests. We need logistics. We have FedEx. We have Amazon. You're telling me logistically we can't get this done? Harry, you and I could get it done. I'd go get Fred Smith. Fred, how do we do this? Well, tell me what we do. I love the fact that we have Chip Mahan, who is with the Live Oak Bank, who's from Kentucky. You ready? His bank in Wilmington, North Carolina, has given out more money for the small businesses. He's given out $100 million a day. He's given out for these loans, and to help the small businesses reemploy. The loans are relieved if you're using it for rent. You're using it for your employees. You're using it for, you know, their benefits and all that. And we got a lot of good stuff that's going to come out of this. It's just we got to get through it. And it's going to be each day that we can keep this at bay is a day closer to someone. There's someone somewhere going to come up with this vaccine. And now we'll look back on this time and be telling our grandkids, who our kids will be telling their grandkids, that how they lived through this. And they'll say, no, you didn't. You had to stay home. You couldn't go anywhere. What are you talking about? We couldn't get near anybody. You couldn't touch anybody? Nope. We had masks on. I was going to put my mask on today. I mean, there was no toilet paper. Why would there be no toilet paper? There were no napkins. I mean, why would there be no napkins? I don't know. Everybody thought they were going to poop to death. I don't know what it was, but there was. I mean, they won't believe it, and it'll be. And right now, it's hard to laugh about this stuff because people are dying. but they'll look back on what we were doing and measures that we were taking, and they'll be saying, you know, what? But we just got to get through it. And I think that's the whole point now.
Well, I thank you both so much for your perspective, and I will wrap this up by saying this. I truly believe that this unprecedented moment in history will give us all new perspective about the human need for gathering. We've gathered forever and had the opportunity to be in the same place together, feeling the same energy together. And we have a great new appreciation for what that is. Everybody stay safe. Gentlemen, thank you both so much for your time and perspective. We have solved all the world's problems except for devising the vaccine ourselves. Be well. I appreciate you both.
Thanks, guys. See you, Marty.
Thank
See you, Coach.